ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So today in the conversation we were reading about Manorathena Dhavato Bahi. Prabhupada explains about how they are riding on the chariot Manorathena of their mental speculation. And that is why these people, they never reach proper conclusions. Why? That is the nature of the mind. Sometimes we accept something and then after some time we reject the same thing. Prabhupada says this is called sankalpa vikalpa. Sometimes we accept something. Similarly, all these so-called philosophers, scientists, all these people who are theorizing on mental platform, they give some theories and after some time they again reject that theory and they make another theory. Isn't it? So this is called Manorathena Dhavato Bahi. So this Prabhupada says they constantly speculate about the material nature. And then Umapati, the devotee, says, and they can never be spiritual. Prabhupada, no. Umapati, just always material. So then Prabhupada explains what is these people's condition. Those who are running on Manorathena, those who are giving these theories based on mental speculation, they hover on material platform. There is no question that they can reach spiritual platform at all. And then Prabhupada describes what is that material platform. Their theories are like zeros. One after another, they are giving 0, 0, 0. So then Prabhupada is saying 0 plus 0, 0 multiplied by 0, 0 divided by 0, 0 minus 0, everything is 0. So all their speculations, one after another, whatever they give, it is all 0. Whereas the same material thing, if you add 1 before it, it becomes 10. And then that 0 will assume proper value. Material things can assume value only when there is Krishna, when there is spiritual. So then Prabhupada says, another 0 it will make 10 times more, 100. Then it assumes values. So similarly, here we are seeing Prabhupada is describing in today's purport about so-called philosophers who speculate from the Vedas. They are actually called as Vedavadis, Vedavadarataha. In Bhagavad Gita they are called as. That means they actually are called as so-called strict followers of Veda. So-called means that substance is missing. That is called as so-called. Strict followers of Veda means those who are strictly following the Vedas. So those who are strictly following the Vedas, what should be the goal? They should be able to achieve the goal of the Vedas, correct? Suppose, say for example, you are following all the rules and regulations of traffic, then you should be able to reach your destination. What is the meaning of having all the traffic rules, everything following, and you go nowhere? Then what is the use of that? All the traffic rules and everything, laws are made so that you are able to reach your destination. Similarly, the goal of following the rules and regulations of the Vedas is for a purpose. What is the purpose? Vedescha sarve ahameva vedyaha. From all the Vedas, I am to be known. These people are so foolish, they read all the Vedas and they deny the Supreme Lord. That goal itself they deny. The goal they are supposed to reach by reading the Vedas, they deny that goal. Not only that, when that goal personified comes in front of them, they still deny. They are called as Vedavada Rata. Actually, they are more or less atheistic class of people. Only difference is, atheists directly deny the existence of God. These people take shelter of the Vedas and deny the existence of God. That is the only difference. So here is very important import which all of us can understand, that all the real followers of the Vedas are these great sages. See, all the real followers of the Vedas are these great sages, these great devatas. They, after seeing the form of the Lord, what did they do? When they saw Varaha incarnation, what was the activities? What were their reaction? They were able to understand this Supreme Personality of Godhead we are seeing directly with our eyes is none other but that Vedas personified. We are all reading Vedas. From the Vedas, the Supreme Lord is to be known. And now that Supreme Lord, the personification of Vedas, is right in front of us. So what should we do? We glorify the Lord with the Vedic hymns. We should glorify the Lord with the Vedic hymns. And that's what they started doing. Immediately they started glorifying the Lord from the Vedas. Now they are establishing further, this is not some mental speculation. Don't think that these great sages, if somebody is, because he is our worshipable deity, we can glorify him as we like, even though he may not have that attribute. Just like out of love sometime, Prabhupada explains, somebody may call his dear son Padma Lochan. Padma Lochan means one who has lotus eyes. And actually, his son may be Kana. Kana means one who is having one eye. And that another eye is also not proper. You see? So out of love, somebody may call his blind son or his one-eyed son as Padma Lochan. So somebody may think that similarly, the devotees also may be just glorifying the Lord. You are personification of the Vedas. And it may have no literal meaning. It may not have any substance in it. It may be just glorification. No. When the devotees are glorifying, that glorification is not some mental speculation. That glorification is real truth. So here we can see they are further establishing that how they are glorifying the Supreme Lord is actually factual. That Varaha form of the Lord is worshipable by Vedic hymns. That Varaha form of the Lord is worshipable by Vedic hymns, by all these great performances of sacrifice. What is Vedic literature prescribing? Bhagavad Gita explains, Vedas were given to people. When this Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, when this creation was made, Vedas were given to people, and in the Vedas there is prescription of sacrifice. Correct? Sacrifices are performed for pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when we please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, automatically all our requirements will be fulfilled. Rains will come, then crops will grow, we will be able to partake our food, we will be able to maintain this body, we will be able to maintain the body and the soul together. That is what Bhagavad Gita says, isn't it? So that's why, what is Vedas? Vedas is glorification of the Supreme Lord, and Vedas are prescribing sacrifices or activities meant for pleasing the Supreme Lord. Now here, in today's verse you will find, it will be explained, the skin of the Lord is that Gayatri hymns and all other hymns, beginning with Gayatri hymns. So what is Vedas? It is nothing but these different hymns, correct? What is that Veda? It is all these different hymns. And it is the personification of the Supreme Lord in the form of His skin. Then we may say, okay, Vedas is not just hymn alone. Vedas means sacrifices also. What about sacrifice? So now here, the great sages are saying, yes, all the different parts of Varaha incarnations are personification of that sacrifice. How? Different parts of sacrifice is present in the body of the Lord. His eyes are the clarified butter. His 4 legs of Varaha are the 4 kinds of fruitive activities mentioned in the Vedas. And then, your bodily hairs, skin is, what is the skin? Described here as skin of Varaha, Gayatri hymns and all other hymns. Right? Gayatri is the topmost hymns in the Vedic literature. Then, all the Vedic hymns, Gayatri and others, are in the touch of your skin. In your bodily hairs is the kusha grass. What else we require when we perform sacrifices? What do? We require kusha grass. We require people who are chanting these Vedic hymns. Correct? We require clarified butter. And furthermore it will be said, not only this much. Many other items are required. Because we will think, okay, only this much is there. Then even prasadam, bhoga, what is to be offered, that is also required. Right? We all offer in that with clarified butter, we also offer bhoga in that. So all those different things we will find. The body of the Lord is personification not only of the Vedas, but of the sacrifice which is meant for pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, here it is said, Rupam tava etat nanu dushkrita atmanam. Your Rupam, which is always transcendental, Rupam tva etan, this Rupam of yours, Varaha Rupam of yours, Nanu means accept. Accept some people, others who are pious, they will be able to appreciate. Some people cannot appreciate. Who are those people? Dushkritatmanam. Those who are miscreants. For them, your Rupam is Dudarshanam, very difficult to see. Even if they see, they cannot appreciate. It's like Hiranyaksha was seeing the personal form of the Lord. He was not able to appreciate that it is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ravana was seeing personification of the Supreme Lord as Lord Rama. He was not able to appreciate. Hiranyakashipu was seeing Lord Narsimha, but he was not able to appreciate. He was only seeing him as personified death. He was not able to see the transcendental form of the Lord. So these miscreants actually, they only see one form of the Lord, death. That's the only form at the end of their life they are able to see. But that's a horrible form of the Lord. So, it is said here, Rupam tva etan nanu dushkrutatmanam durdarshanam. So this form of the Lord, it is very difficult for them to see. For whom? Those who are miscreants. Devayad advaratmakam. This form actually is worshipable by performances of sacrifice. Now this is very important to understand. Actually, why do we perform sacrifice? Right? Here it is said, one of the very important goal of performing the sacrifice is to worship the form of the Lord. That's why you will find all the Brahmanas, Prabhupada says, either Shaligram Shila worship, some form of the Lord, any of the transcendental form of the Lord, they were worshipping. So Vishnu form of the Lord, Yagneshwara he is called, is what is worshipped by performances of these sacrifices. And that's why we see Kali Yuga, best method of worshipping the Supreme Lord is by another kind of sacrifice, by performing Sankirtana Yagna. So sacrifice is meant for worshipping the form of the Lord. That is what it is said here. So Deva Yad Advaram Atmakam. And then it is said, Chandamsi Yasya Tvachi. The skin, Tvachi means the skin of the Lord, Varaha, is Chandamsi. Gayatri Mantra and other hymns, Vedic hymns, is the skin of the Lord. Barhi Romashu. Barhi means sacred grass, Kusha. They are the hairs on the body of the Lord. That is Kusha grass. Ajam, Drishi. Drishi means the eyes of the Lord, is clarified butter. Ajam means clarified butter. Tu Angrishu Chatuhotram. And Chaturhotra, 4 kinds of fruitive activities, is the 4 legs. Angri means the feet of the Lord. The 4 legs of the Lord is the 4 kinds of fruitive activities. So here we can see complete description given by these great sages, that this is not some mental speculation. Do not think we are glorifying the Lord, your Vedas personified, your sacrifice personified. Isn't it? They are saying very clearly which part of the Lord is which one. Isn't it? So this is not some kind of speculation. This is truth. Actually, we all know the transcendental body of the Lord can perform any part. That is actually the transcendental body of the Lord. The same eyes which can act as clarified butter, the same eyes can also impregnate another. Prabhupada says, we require one part of our body, with no other part we can impregnate. Isn't it? But the Lord, He can impregnate with His eyes. When the Lord impregnated this material creation with the living entities. How did he do? He never came in touch. The Lord comes in touch in the form of Lord Shiva. Otherwise, as the Supreme Lord, the Lord is never in touch with the material world. And as Lord Shiva, the Lord glances at this material world and impregnates this material world. You see? So the Lord eyes can act in wonderful ways, in many different ways. Isn't it? Prabhupada says the Lord can eat with his eyes. Just by seeing the Lord can eat. Angani yasya sakalendriya vritti manti. So these descriptions are factual because in absolute truth there is no duality. In absolute there is no duality. In material form there is duality. There is Atma, and then this material body is all made up of three gunas. Three modes of material nature. All our mind, our intelligence, our body, subtle body, all this is made up of three gunas. So there is a duality. Atma is different. Atma's gunas is different. Atma's rupa is different. And that does not become manifest. Why it is not manifest? It is covered by gross and subtle body. It is not manifest. Our real rupa is not manifest. Right? But for the Supreme Lord there is no such difference. There is no difference between his hairs. There is no difference between his eyes. There is no such difference between his hand. You see? As such. So that is what we should understand. So, here is a beautiful description given by these great sages about the transcendental form of the Lord. And then Prabhupada is explaining in the purport another very important thing. So, this class of miscreant who are called as Vedavadis or so-called strict followers of the Vedas, they do not believe in the incarnation of the Lord. What to speak of Lord's incarnation as worshipable hog? You see? They are more or less Mayavadis. So Prabhupada says they follow the philosophy of anthropomorphism. Anthropomorphism means they say actually absolute truth is impersonal. We are having a form, we give a form to God. So that is what they are thinking. So they make a philosophy like this. If an animal has to think about his God, he will think animal is God. Human being, he is thinking I am having two hands, I am having two legs. So he is making one form of God. God is also having two hands, God is also having two legs. And so they worship like that. So they call this as anthropomorphism. According to our material conception, we give a form to God. Some people may give another form to God. No. If God also has two hands, two legs, then he will be ordinary. I think God must be having four hands. So that is also another form of, they say, anthropomorphism. That material concept. So material concept, then they try to impose on God and they make one form of God. So according to them actually, in the end, there is no such form of God. All these are imaginary forms. They are called as Vedavada Rata. They take shelter of Vedas, everything, you see. And finally they take shelter of Veda to deny the existence of the Supreme Lord. You see. So it is just like Prabhupada says the example that somebody is making use of the spiritual master in order to finally discard him. This is what they think, that these forms, okay, they may be required just to concentrate the mind. Because at this moment, what is required for us now? We cannot concentrate on something impersonal, correct? They agree to that point. So, when you find these so-called Vedavadis, they are also worshipping, you will find, they are also worshipping the deities. Then you may think that they are also devotees. And they are also reading Srimad Bhagavatam. See? They will be commenting on Srimad Bhagavatam. All these things you will find. So you will not be able to understand. That's why people, they are not able to understand the difference. They are also devotees, no? The difference is this. They are utilizing all this factually to discard all these. They are utilizing all the forms, everything. Okay, these are all accepted forms, they will think. Krishna is accepted form. Vishnu is accepted form. Sun Devata is accepted form. All these accepted forms, they will also worship. But what is their goal? Finally, come out of all these forms. These are all only temporary requirement till your mind becomes concentrated. Factually, from form you have to go to formless. From guna you have to go to nirguna. This is their understanding. So for such foolish people, the Lord's form is never visible. You see, for such people. Because somebody may think, if the Lord's body is transcendental, why these people are not able to recognize? Because the Lord also wants to satisfy their desire, their dushkriti. They don't want to surrender to God. So even though the Lord is present in front of them, they are not able to see. Maya's curtain is there, even though the Lord is present. Just like the Lord is present in our heart, but because of the curtain of Maya, we cannot see the Lord, even present in our heart. So even though the Supreme Lord comes personally, directly in front of these dushkritis, they will never surrender to God. We find such examples. Kamsa was there. Shishupal was there. Directly they are seeing the Lord, personified. The Supreme Lord in His original form. But still these dushkritis, they don't surrender. Then one may think, Prabhupada, very nicely gives that example. Why? First of all, Prabhupada says, they are mudhas. First kind of dushkritis are mudhas, grossly foolish. So those who are grossly foolish, they will never surrender to the Supreme Lord. They will think He is another human being. Isn't it? What is the difference between? He is one, historically some great man, that's all. So such foolish people, grossly foolish, they will never accept. Another dushkriti is Naradhama, lowest of the mankind. Man, human form of life is meant for attaining perfection, isn't it? So those who do not use this human form of life for attaining perfection by worshipping the Supreme Lord, they are called as Naradhama. Even though they have got intelligence, everything, they don't utilize that for that. They utilize for sense gratification. They are called lowest of the mankind. Such people also do not surrender to the Lord. Then somebody may say, no, that is fine, but they are Vedavada. They are all having great knowledge of the Vedas. They can interpret the Vedas, everything. They know the shlokas, chandas, everything. Then Bhagavad Gita says, but unfortunately, real knowledge is stolen. Maya aprahata jnana. Jnana is there, but real essence of the knowledge is stolen from them. So big degrees only will remain. That's why we find, awards are given and somebody's name is Bhagwan. You see, and he's denying Bhagwan. The Professor Bhagwan, one big professor is there and he's denying Bhagwan. You see. And all big degrees he's got. Big philosopher is called. And he's given award also by government. Government is recognizing. You see, awards are given to such people. We are seeing this. So why? Maya aprahata jnana. Their real knowledge is stolen. And there are another people, outrightly they say, no God, we are God. Where is God? Asuri bhavam ashrita. So these four kind of dushkritis, they will never surrender. Even though they may read Vedas, even though they may be knowledgeable, even though they may have big titles with them, they will never surrender to the Lord. So for such people, the Lord's form is Dudarshanam. Very difficult to see. Whereas for the devotees, it is very easy to see. They are able to relate to the form of the Lord personally. So here we can see the great sages are describing the glories of the Lord, the different transcendental attributes of the Lord are being described by these great sages. So we'll stop with this. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada.